In a world of glitz and glam, flashing lights and screaming fans, most people are unaware of the war that rages behind the scenes. And that war includes your favorite artist and your favorite songs. This is The Dark Side of Songwriting. Hosted by Nayim Edwards.
Welcome to The Dark Side of Songwriting. I am your host, Nayim Edwards. Today, we are discussing Gillie, the kid, Gillie, the king, whatever he's calling himself these days. I hope you got some time because we're going to peel this shit back like an onion. We're going all the way back to when he first started. If you don't know who Gillie is, very, very, very old artist. I remember when I was a kid, when Wayne was always a staple in my life. I grew up on Cash Money. So it's kind of different when you are absolutely on the Wayne side and Wayne is your number one influence, number one artist. Like, I was a little kid when, not a little like a toddler, but I was a little kid when Wayne hit the scene so heavy. It was fucking crazy. Like, that Cash Money shit was crazy already. But when Wayne had his resurgence from that Cash Money shit, it was nothing bigger than that. And I was a child. So imagine him having a run since I was a kid going all the way to an adult. But this ain't about Wayne. Wayne is a part of this story, and I guess that is where we can start, because Gillie was calling himself a ghostwriter for Wayne, saying that he did all of this and he did all of that. Gillie was an artist. I knew about Gillie because I'm from this side. I'm not from Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, but that's not that far away from Virginia. So I knew about Gillie. I also grew up in the mixtape era. So if you wonder why I'm scratching my face, I just moisturized and the air hitting is really like, oh my God. But not on drugs. So Gillie had mixtapes and Gillie had music that I knew of, and I always thought Gillie was raw. There was even people when we was children arguing that Gillie was better than Wayne, which I guess you can say that if that's what your preference is. Nobody's better than Wayne to me. Maybe Tupac, but Tupac's only better than Wayne because of impact and influence today. But again, this is not about Wayne. This is about Gillie. So I might put a timestamp in here if you just want to skip all this and go straight to whatever the fuck he was talking about on this show. So with Gillie, being that he was a failed artist, just call it what the fuck it is. You was running with Cash Money. You had to stand in Wayne's shadow. Birdman was never going to push you up to the front. According to y'all, Birdman owns the masters of those little bit of steam that you did have. That is verified. That is true. He's not going to get it back. He's definitely not going to get it back now. After his comments towards Rick Ross and Rick Ross situation. I did watch that excerpt. Gillie is one of those artists. It's like, it's damn near like Quando Rondo. It's like they're incredibly talented. They have everything. They got the look, they got the story, they got everything, but it just don't stick. And that is one of the first dark sides of Gillie's career, is that you had the reputation, you had the look, you had everything. Unfortunately, it came at a time where nobody had any use for you. So you are a failed artist, if we're talking about in the sense of whoever your peers would have been at the time. And that's very sad. It's very disheartening too, because you have to, you got to look around and you see everybody doing good, and you see everybody, for going up and you're better than them. But in this hip hop thing, especially in music, like not even hip hop, because we're transcending hip hop at this point. This is just a hip hop story. But in this music thing, your talent level, it matters, but there's things that are more important than talent. Relationships are more important than talent when we're talking about music, because there will be artists that you know you're better than and you might actually put in more work than, but they're going to outshine you because they have the relationships to connect them to that. So that's like, I don't know, keep track of the dark sides at this point. That's one of the first dark sides to it. Gillie actually fell victim to that because I liked Gillie as a kid. It's just unfortunate that it didn't stick. So that's just a little back history to him. Did he write for Wayne? That's a good question. I think he may have assisted. I don't think he wrote for Wayne, because this is my theory on, if you were such a incredible staple, it's just like what I said with Beethoven. It's like, if you did it one time, do it again. Why weren't you ever able to reach that level of writing again for another artist or for yourself? But then that ties into the relationship thing. But also I want to add that Wayne is still ascending. Wayne is not as in your face and as whatever, but a Wayne feature is like a rite of passage at this point. Wayne has not fallen off lyrically or nothing. Wayne is one of the gods. So losing you really only made him hotter, really only made him better. And a person could argue that you held him back, if we're being completely honest. I don't even know if this shit's still recording, but we rocking. So Gillie on $1 million worth of game, because we can skip all the shit in the middle, the time that you didn't have talking to anybody. You was just kind of a ghost writer, whatever. Shout out Paranormal Pentivity, my other show. On $1 million worth of game. So apparently what happened behind the scenes was somebody said something about something that had to do with Wayne, and Rick Ross got on the goddamn Instagram making commentary, talking about, he said something about it. Who fucking cares? I'm not scrolling Instagram looking at rappers put up comments. That's ridiculous. Like, we're grown. We have shit to do. You got on this episode of $1 million worth of game and called Rick Ross goofy. He an old nigga. Why'd he buy a cow? All type of ridiculous shit. So let's deal with what actually happens when you have these emotional outbursts as a failed rapper going against somebody who is completely established. Now, I was thinking before I even recorded this, because I usually just kind of gather my thoughts up, because I know what I want to say every time I speak. And I lived through a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now. Now, if it's something real old, obviously I'll put the whatever, but let's start right here. Gillie. I don't know if you understand that every musician has a shelf life. Every musician has a period of when they're going to be completely scorching hot, and then they're going to start cooling down, and anybody who reaches legendary status, they're not going to be. So this is just really how, like I'm trying to explain this in a way that everybody could understand it. Like, you're going to have that grind period, And then you're going to have this scorching hot period. Now, this is for people who make it. This isn't for people who don't. Grind period, scorching hot period, cool off period where you're going to be lukewarm. A person who can manage to maintain legendary status, meaning they have their own cult following, their own fan base, people who are going to fuck with them for whatever they fuck with them with, they are never going to be, they're going to be fine, basically. Like, they're not going to have to worry about the dumb shit, like doing antics, putting on dresses if you a man, putting on wigs in the video with your homeboy. You're not going to have to worry about that if you have your own fan base. If you have the people who fuck with you for whatever they fuck with you with. And what we're seeing today in music is, I'm looking from it from both sides, from behind the camera and in front of the camera. What we're seeing today in music is hip hop acts are having severe longevity. Like, the ones that are old enough to be like my uncles, maybe my father, those acts, maybe not my father, but they're old enough to be like your uncle and your father if you're a little bit younger than me. Well, yeah, father. They're old enough to be whatever. They just a few, like maybe 10, 15, 20 years older than us. If they have been able to maintain being able to be seen, even if it is by an audience that does not know them, they have been able to survive. And there's going to be new people looking, because we live in this digital age where everything is going to be shown. We live in this digital age where everybody can pull up everything about you and go back and do their history and their homework on you. So people like Jay-Z, they're going to be here. Styles P, Jadakiss, Mace, motherfucking Diddy, even though it's just more of an executive than an artist. Rick Ross, Nelly, Ludacris, people who have been able to, they might not be musically relevant, but they will be able to stay here, and they do have staying power because they have never left our sight. T-Pain. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, will they get a hit again? It's possible. But it doesn't matter, because we have been able to see, like, they're from that time era. Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Drake. All these people are still whatever they are because they have real fans, and they were out here at a time where they had to be outside. I don't know if Gillie understands this, because he was never premier as a musician. You're relevant today because you're on a podcast, and podcasts are popping, and you interview artists, and you guys talk to newer acts. So of course people that's my goddamn little cousin's age is gonna watch this, because people that's my little cousin's age is infatuated with people like Lil Durk, infatuated with Fredo Bang and all these other motherfuckers. I don't know if Fredo was ever on this show, but like, of course you're gonna be relevant to a younger audience. The problem is, a lot of these younger audiences, it's very fickle. It's very like, you're gonna have to really like do so much, and that's, you know, it's just so dynamic. It's so complicated, but I just had to say that because a lot of people don't recognize that we're in this era where hip hop is actually gonna be here. Like, you can tell it's gonna be here if you're serious, if you don't get up here and do the gimmicky thing or whatever. So let's talk about, I don't know what this is, but I'm gonna do this so I know when I'm editing the timestamp or what to put in the description if you want to just skip to that. So, what's your comments towards Rick Ross? You're bitter. Like, there's no way other to describe what's wrong with you other than you're bitter. Rick Ross is not one of those artists where it matters if he puts another record out. A motherfucker like that already understood that he had his run. He gave us good acts. He still has relevant acts today. Even if they're relevant regionally, like Wale. Wale is a fucking king in Virginia. You know, Meek Mill's a king where you're from. It doesn't matter if these people have top whatever, and Wale always give us something that's gonna be on the radio or whatever. So Wale's gonna be here or whatever. So Rick Ross is fine. Rick Ross is a businessman. Restaurants, whatever. You joke about the cattle thing, but you get up here and you tell these younger acts to be smart with their money, do this, get out the streets, get out of that. But you're saying, why the fuck would somebody buy a cow? Not you. I mean, whatever. Like you can do what you want to do. Obviously, a smart investment would be to get your own cattle ranch. That's food, tax write-off, because you're gonna get a farm credit for your crib. Now you've opened yourself up to different businesses. See, when he bought the house, if anybody paid attention, you know, John Deere contacted him and gave him a fucking, like, this big ass riding mower thing, because he was out there bitch pushing with a regular lawnmower saying, I'll cut this shit myself. I'll cut these trees down myself. I'll do this shit myself. You open yourself up to more business opportunity, especially when you are a rapper who has proven that you know how to act. And know how to act means you can survive the worst that is thrown on you. Let's just keep it 100. Who gives a fuck if he was a cop? That shit is, nobody gave a fuck back then. People might have cared, but nobody it didn't hurt him. And you want to know why it didn't hurt him? Because he fucking ignored y'all dumbasses out here talking about, oh, he's a CEO, he's this, he's that. He survived 50 Cent. He survived every single thing that was thrown in his face. Who gives a fuck what the peanut gallery is saying? Talking about, why would you do that? And then with Wallow sitting there, you can tell Wallow was not on that. If you go back and look at this interview, look at Wallow's face. Or if you don't look at the interview, look at the clip. Look at Wallow's face. You can tell it's just like, there's plenty of reasons to buy a cow. That's what Wallow's face is saying, but you're saying that's some dumbass shit. Why would you do that? Doing anything to stay relevant. Rick Ross is more, people look at Rick Ross anyway because it's like he's a legend, but they look at him more because he is in your face on social media. He's funny to look at. He's nice to look at. He's entertaining. You don't know what that is like, or you're just getting to know what it's like for people to look, but you're kind of goofy. It's not entertainment, it's like goofiness. So it's like, you know, we can really take or leave you. Let's get to what makes this so dark. It's because if you were thinking, you wouldn't have said that. Especially, you know, these grown men get on this internet, especially these old ass grown men like this. Why are you upset about what a person on the internet is saying? If you don't like Rick Ross, it doesn't matter if you don't like Rick Ross. People gonna fuck with Rick Ross regardless. People gonna still go to his restaurants. People gonna still check him out. Whenever he do something, he has fans. He's the king down where he's from. CEO and all. We have to stop acting like what people did in the past matters, but we over that. Like, we got over that. When Aston Martin music came out, nobody gave a fuck about that CEO shit. This nigga has international hits. You don't know what that's like. International fans, you don't know what that is like. Not for music. You were never musically relevant. And I understand how somebody in that position would be bitter because you were never musically relevant on a scale where you should have been because of who you stood beside. You know, like, you should have been bigger than what you are, but you weren't. And you're not. Now, if you drop a song tomorrow, nobody would fucking click it. Nobody cares. Because you didn't come to us as that. We're going to click on whatever he do. We're kind of going to look at it or whatever. He can do anything tomorrow. This is known as a business person. You never got far enough in your career to know that you're supposed to leverage this music thing to get other legitimate businesses. That's why people get into music. It's not really about music. It's really about being able to leverage whatever you have to be able to go. You never got there. Now, I'm here. We here. If you still rocking, you rocking. The thing with what's so wicked about it, aside from you actually deserving to have the career that you never got and you will never have musically. When you play like this, you set yourself up for failure. As a rapper, as a musician, if I'm an executive, if I wanted to do something with you, my fucking nose is itching. Jesus. If I wanted to do something with you, I would have to think twice, because you have emotional outbursts about penny any shit. You are actually old as fuck in the Instagram comments, mad over something that somebody else said about, called you a name or whatever. You should have ignored that. That's how he survived the wave, where the whole G Unit, he survived Lloyd Banks lyrically beating him up. He survived 50 Cent having a whole cartoon sex tape with the baby mama. If I was an executive that had to deal with you on any type of level, I would think twice, because the type of attention you garner from these type of things just lets me know you're unstable. Also, when you get to Rick Ross's level, to the point where you can have security, he has an estate and he has police officers that work for him, what would stop me from, as a police officer, what would stop me from saying you made threats, or this is a threat, so we're going to watch out for you? And, you know, it really won't go that far, but like, it's just not a good look. What would stop me from saying, yeah, we can't fuck with this guy because he doesn't know how to act, he doesn't know how to control himself? How is he going to handle this amount of money if he can't control himself when he sees something disparaging about him on the internet? Well, he is a public figure. He is a rapper, even if it's not a successful one. You know, like, a lot of people don't think about these things. A lot of people don't think that the stuff that you say does come with real consequences, even if you feel like the consequence is just like, well, he said something about me, so I said something back. A lot of times you don't need to say anything. It's just move, keep going in what you're doing. That's how you will. That's really the secret to surviving attacks, is because my thing is, people don't have that kind of attention span. They will absolutely, this shit will blow over. They will forget about it. It won't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll move on as soon as you do something we like. It's kind of like when George Bush came out as this crazy ass painter. He had this crazy painting that he painted. Everybody found out that George Bush was a great painter and forgot about the motherfucking planes in that building situation. You know, like, people have the memory of a goldfish. But all we can see, and all the young people see, how do you get online and tell young people to do the right thing and be smart when you laughed at a black man for having a farm? When you laughed at a black man for being more into business than being into, you know, trying to extend putting on a wig and a dress so motherfuckers like you can get up there and have shit to talk about. What would you talk about if it wasn't the bullshit that you see on the internet? And the sad part about it is, you never got to that point where your rap career was able to turn into something else. But you did get to that point because your failed rap career turned into podcast. And that is the dark side of songwriting, when a former failed artist comes out and is basically the peanut gallery, the pellet gun to somebody who is probably, I wouldn't even respond to that shit if I was Rick Ross. And you never was able to reach that because you stood in somebody's shadow for too long. You came out, and even if it was true about the Wayne shit, nobody cared because you were never able to replicate that. My name is Nayim Edwards. This is the dark side of songwriting. I am your humble host, and I will holler.